right, here we are. Make some changes on that light there. And that light there. All right, it is Wednesday night. It is 7 p.m. And as always, it is time for the South Carolina NORML Cannabis Conversation. As you know, NORML stands for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana, and we are the South Carolina affiliate chapter. Let me start clicking the right buttons here so I know what the heck I'm doing. And I see I already have the welcome banner up there. We're going to give it a minute, as I usually do, to let people kind of join on in the room with us in the podcast. And I already have Nancy in asking what's cooking. And is that a question? I don't see a question mark on there, Josh. Hello and yes, I guess would be the best way to put it. All right. Let me kind of kick off with our normal little intro, which is all of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. Also, with that, I would like to take a moment to remind you to follow us on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. And oh, there might be another one in there that we're Facebook. Um, Give us a search out for South Carolina NORML. There's actually more than one on YouTube, so make sure you're the one that picks the one that has the more subscribers to it, and then subscribe. Click that notification bell, and it'll remind you to join us every Wednesday evening. Also, don't forget to support our sponsors. Visit our website at scnormal.org. You'll click on some buttons. I think it's under our About section, and you should be able to find our sponsors there. Peruse them, see if there's anything that you might be able to utilize and patronize our sponsors. Huge shout out to our sponsor. Again, I'd probably talk about them way too often, but the Not Burger Pub in Somerville, we had a great May fundraiser with them. Just deposited that check the other day finally. And it's nice to have a little bit of float in our bank account for the moment. As some of you may have seen on Facebook, we went out and purchased a whole bunch of stickers, this type sticker that we have back here. Hopefully we can go start distributing them a little bit more throughout the state, start letting more people know that we're actually here. Because I get that quite often when we're out and about. People go, geez, I didn't even know there was a NORML chapter here in South Carolina. So anyway, don't forget to support our sponsors. All right, next up is our intro and agenda. Hey, VP, what are we doing it? Sorry, VP's not here with me. I miss her. He's always got things under control a little bit more for me than I have for myself. So, but intro and agenda. Basically, our agenda for this evening is talking about the NORML Foundation Freedom Card that you'll find inside of our brochures. I decided, since I repeated this thing over and over and over and over again at the, let's see if I can show this on camera, the One Way Forward festival the other day, trying to get people to protect themselves with the Constitution. I might as well just talk about it a little bit on the podcast. So that is our subject tonight. For the most part, we'll kind of spread a little bit around on that, some to the Constitution, some to just our Freedom Card. But we'll chat about that stuff in a little bit, and hopefully that'll fill up enough time, especially with your inquisitive questions. One quick heads up, though, I will make. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather tonight. So if we end a little early, I apologize, but I think we'll be able to do okay. I think I should be able to make it through. With that said, before we get too far into our subject for the night, let's go ahead and start with our first cannabis question. 7:05, how am I doing on my schedule? I usually hit this at 7:07, don't I? Oh, 7:05 to 7:07, right on time with my run of show. All right, talking about shows, the subject category for the first trivia question this evening is TV. For those keeping score, it is a 30-point score question. Category TV, 30-point question. The question is the Showtime drama Weeds, which starred Mary Louise Parker as a marijuana dealing housewife, earned how many Emmy nominations? Was it 13, 15, or 18? Again, the Showtime drama Weeds, which starred Mary Louise Parker as a marijuana dealing wife, earned how many Emmy Awards? 13, 15, or 18? And we will get to the answer to that in just a second. But this is the time where I kind of mentioned that our trivia question are an opportunity for folks out there that might want to help support us or sponsor us to sponsor our trivia question. And then we will mention your business and or cause. Um, and then we get to the answer. So that makes me push another button. Cannabis trivia answer. The answer to this particular one, I don't know. Am I doing that too strange? Uh, Again, category 30-point question. Categories TV, 30-point question. The Showtime drama Weeds, which starred Mary Louise Parker as a marijuana dealing wife, earned how many Emmy nominations? 13, 15, or 18? I see a comment up here. Nancy gives us 13, and she is accurate. That is the answer. 13 Emmy nominations for the Showtime drama Weeds. If anybody out there knows this, for some reason, I believe I heard whispers or rumors of some sort about kind of a restart of Weeds or a reboot, would you call it? I don't know. But yeah, I thought I heard that they might be bringing it back somehow or another. 13 Emmy nominations. All right. A matter of fact, I think it was, no, it wasn't. Never mind. That's a whole different thing. I think it was one of the television shows. I think it was uh, channels I got just specifically because they, um, oh geez, Bong Appetit, the cooking show was on that one, and I had to watch that. I'm like, you mean I got to pay more for the next tier up? Okay, I'll do that. But yeah, that was a show I enjoyed as well. All right, I have not updated my other banners down here to talk about headlines or anything because that was how VP kind of helped keep me on track, and she's not doing that anymore right now. So I'm off the tracks, off the rails on this crazy train. Is that how that goes? All right. Couple things I wanted to talk about. As I mentioned, our brochure. If you don't have one, you need one. Everybody has to have one, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And I'll tell you why right now. You need to have it for the NORML Foundation Freedom Card. And the Freedom Card is based on the Constitution of the United States. Um, oh, geez, should I do this? Uh, 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 I guess I could share a screen real quick. It gives me something to at least gives you something better to look at. All right, this is whitehouse.gov, and this is about the White House, about the Constitution. Why a Constitution? A constitutional convention. It goes through, I guess, the process, and if you'd like to, I'll share this link with you. Oops, clicked on the wrong button. And you're welcome to go and read all of that. Comments, comments, comments. There we go. Yeah, get this drop down here in the comment section. All right. But as you all know, the Constitution is the supreme rule of law of the land. The need for the Constitution grew out of problems with the Articles of Confederation, which established a firm league of friendship between the states and vested most power in a Congress of the Confederation. Geez, I think this might be a learning experience for all of us. I didn't even know that was the start of it. This power, however, however, extremely limited, and the central government conducted diplomacy and made war, set weights and measures, and was the final arbiter of disputes between the states. Crucially, it could not raise any funds itself. It was entirely dependent on the states themselves for the money necessary to operate. Each state sent a delegation of between 2 and 7 members to the Congress, and they voted as a block, with each state getting 1 vote. But any decision of consequence required a unanimous vote, which led to a government that was paralyzed and ineffectual. There you go. That was the start of it. They were requiring absolute unanimous votes. Couldn't always get a unanimous vote, and so it paralyzed the government. Excuse me. A movement to reform the Articles began, and invitations to attend a convention in Philadelphia to discuss changes to the Articles were sent to the state delegations in 1787. So we're going back a couple of years. I don't think I was even a smiling great granddaddy's eye yet. The chief aim of the Constitution, as drafted by the convention, was to create a government with enough power to act on a national level, but without so much power that fundamental rights would be at risk. One way that this was accomplished was to separate the power of government into 3 branches, as we all know. And then to include a checks and balances on those powers to assure that no one branch of government gained supremacy. So, I mean, that is how our government's supposed to be working. I am going to scroll down a little bit and basically go to the first 10 amendments of the Constitution, which are the Bill of Rights. Let me just take a peek. Anybody commenting yet? Okay. Unless you want me to talk about a little bit more about how it started. All right. Anyway, I just wanted to sort of give you that. I will, like I said, I dropped the link in the chat in case you want to kind of read through the whole thing. They talk about. No, good. Thank you for answering. Um, I am going to move on. You can read all about the process, how meetings were done in secret so that people could speak their mind, and then the ratification of it, and blah, 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 blah. But really, what we tend to talk about a lot of times when we're talking about the Constitution is we're talking about the first 10 amendments, or also known as the Bill of Rights. So that's where I'm going to kind of start now is with the Bill of Rights. We'll get into, again, the Freedom Card a little bit later after we sort of do a brief overview of the Bill of Rights. So I'll switch over to this screen here. And most of you already know at least some of the First Amendment. Most people may or may not know all 5 elements of the First Amendment. But a lot of us will know that either the First Amendment has to do with freedom of speech, or many others know that another element of the First Amendment is freedom of religion. There's also 3 other elements in there. One is the right to assemble, the right to assembly, so people can gather together in public places. The right to petition your government for the redress of grievances. And I missed one in there. Oh, Uh, the right of press, the right of free press, um, which I wanted to make sure I hit on. And of course, like I say, the right to petition the government for redress of grievances. So those are the five elements of the First Amendment. Um, and therein lies where I believe, anyway, that cannabis prohibition um, is unconstitutional, because it falls basically within the First Amendment. Uh, that they have no, uh, they can't establish religion or prohibit the free exercise thereof, or abridge the freedom of speech or press, or the right of people to peaceably assemble. In that freedom of speech is also the freedom of expression. Um, it's not written out per se, but if, the courts have found that freedom of expression. Um, now, of speech does have limitations. It's not completely free, uh, because somebody could. Good example: fighting words, or threat type thing, that is not free speech. And also, like yelling fire in a crowded theater does not fall under free speech. Oh, I see I still have a banner kind of scrolling along here. Let me see if I can find it, turn it off. There we go. So you kind of get my gist on that. It is not everything is free speech, but falling into this. Now, many of you may know by watching or joining in on the podcast, I have this bit of an obsession of watching what's called First Amendment audits on YouTube. Some are, yeah, pretty out there. Some of them are pretty great, or should I say, interesting. A lot of them are educational. And one of the channels I've been watching a lot more recently is a channel called The Civil Rights Attorney, the Civil Rights Lawyer. Boy, now I'm going to have to look and see which one it is. He is out of, I want to say, West Virginia. Um, and he not only will talk about some of his cases in his state, but also other cases that may be big in the news at the time. And then we'll discuss the constitutional violations or infractions that may have happened within those audits. Um, now, uh, and they talk about this, quite a bit, because as someone who's doing these First Amendment audits, they are members of the press. They're the public press, free press. Anybody who records some information and then distributes that information is press. Whether you happen to go and write it all down and then go back to your office and type it up and put it in the newspaper, or whether you record it and share it to YouTube. Um, that is all free press. So, any questions at all on the First Amendment? Um, Actually, I'll bring up another one in there too, because we talk about freedom of religion. Some of you may know that there is I believe it's called the First Church of Cannabis out in Colorado. I believe that one is. But that was also a question brought up many a times in my past. What about if there was a religion and part of your sacrament was to burn some cannabis at your altar, um, or wherever, and 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 yeah, that's where again I feel if that was someone's belief, and that was someone's understanding, that they were getting, what's the word I'm looking for, metaphysical benefit from the cannabis, then absolutely, again, it's a violation of their religious rights. Um, so anyway, quick touch base on the First Amendment. First Amendment does not have much of anything to do with the Freedom Card. Matter of fact, our recommendation to you and to anybody that's stopped by law enforcement is the same recommendation that you'll get from the U.S. Supreme Court, and that is, do not talk to the police. Do not try and talk your way out of things. Do not try and explain away things. Do not answer questions. All right. Second Amendment. I'm guessing if I said how many people here know what the Second Amendment is, I'd see a couple of hands go up. I'd see a couple comments maybe pop in, but I'm not going to ask because I think most of you already know. Second Amendment rights are your basically a right of the people to keep and bear arms, and that right shall not be infringed. Um, I've got to say, I see, yeah, in the United States, particularly, a lot of how's how best to put it, gun violence on the news, I guess is the way to put it. See gun violence on the news, see gun violence kind of in our streets. I do follow some local law enforcement Facebook pages. Um, and I think I also follow a couple of other groups that, talk about crime in the state or crime in my area. And sometimes I do see some of these where they've arrested a couple of people and they find them with guns, and the guns have been established to have been stolen, and uh, there's laws against that, and that's a good thing. You can't just, although you have a right to keep and bear arms, you can't keep and bear other people's arms. Yeah, but it's sort of I don't know. I'm from a different time, and I don't remember everybody being armed in my day. Some were, I can't deny, but you know it just seems to be more prevalent. Maybe I'm just imagining it. I don't know. But Second Amendment, as most of you know, um, is the right to bear arms for the people to bear arms, and that shall not be infringed. DJ Gamecock has joined us. Hey there, DJ Gamecock. All right. Third Amendment. Now, this one most trips up most people. I didn't know this one until I started kind of doing this a little bit more. The Third Amendment. No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. Now, it doesn't talk about the laws on when and where soldiers and or military can occupy your home. Um, but again, I live on James Island, Charleston County, right outside of right in actually in Charleston. There's a lot a lot of history here, Civil War history. There is I want to say kind of on the top end of the island, maybe if that's the right phrase for it. Um, a place called the McLeod Plantation, which was occupied by military during the Civil War, uh, and I happened to go on a tour there and learn a little bit about it. It's all kind of interesting, how why they took the property for strategic reasons and such like that. But to make a long story short, Third Amendment is no soldier shall be quartered in anybody's home without the consent of the owner, and in time of war in the manner prescribed by law. All right. And oh, did I not show that off earlier? I'm going to kind of take the share screen off for a second. DJ Gamecock says, cool shirt. If I didn't show it, I thought I showed it earlier. See if we can show it. That's the one way. Thank you very much, Cody Kellerman and CarolinaDream.com for that event. We were thrilled to participate in that. And again, I think I said at the start of the show, that's what got me talking about the Freedom Card today, because that's what we were doing that day at the event. So thank you for that. I think it's a cool shirt too. Had to get one, kind of, and it's comfortable. It's a good, well-made shirt. Very, very nice material. All right, let me get through the rest of these kind of quick because I want to talk about the Freedom Card itself for a little. And we are rolling up on time for a second trivia question. So I'm going to hit that next before I hit the Fourth Amendment. So let me just kind of change our buttons here and grab my next question. All right, Canvas trivia question again. Second one of the night out of three. Category music. Again, another 30-point question. This one I did not know when I read it earlier. What British band paid for a full-page advertisement that read, quote, "The law against marijuana is immoral in principle and in practice unworkable," unquote? Was that the Beatles, Coldplay, or the Rolling Stones? So again, music trivia, 30 points. What British band paid for a full-page advertisement that read, quote, "The law against marijuana is immoral in principle and in practice unworkable"? Was that again the Beatles, Coldplay, or the Rolling Stones? All right, click the other button here. Remind you that you have an opportunity to sponsor our trivia questions if you like. Answer to this music trivia question, 30-pointer. What British band paid for a full-page advertisement that read, "The law against marijuana is immoral in principle and in practice unworkable"? Was it the Beatles, Coldplay, or the Rolling Stones? And the answer is, oh, I see somebody made a comment. Let me go check. Nancy says Rolling Stone. You know, this one got me too. It was the Beatles. It was the Beatles. I had no clue. That one was news to me. All right. Turn off that banner. Put this question away. And pop back my screen again. All right. Here's where we're getting into the three that really the NORML Foundation card covers: the Fourth, the Fifth, and the Sixth Amendment. So before I go any further, I am going to share a link with you to the Freedom Card. And again, if you go to our website and download our brochure, you can print it out and have a card there. And we're looking on maybe doing a more permanent version of one that you could purchase on our store or get with membership. We're looking into that for the future. But I am going to just kind of start with what we have on the top of our card, which is this section right up here. You can see that on the screen. And it says the NORML Foundation Freedom Card. The U.S. Constitution prohibits the government from interfering with your right to remain silent, to consult with an attorney, and to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures by law enforcement. However, it is up to you to assert these rights. I'm going to get into that in a little bit. This NORML Foundation Freedom Card will help you do so effectively. If you are confronted by a police officer, remain calm, be courteous, and provide your identification. Politely refuse to answer any further questions. Ask to talk to an attorney. Do not consent to any search of your person, your property, your residence, or your vehicle. Tell the officer you would like to give them this card, which is a statement of the constitutional rights you wish to invoke. Do not reach for this card until you have obtained the officer's permission to do so. If the officer fails to honor your rights, remain calm and polite. Ask for the officer's identifying information and ask them to note your objection on their report. Do not attempt to physically resist an unlawful arrest, search, or seizure. If necessary, you might point out the violations to a judge at a later time. So that is what, I'll turn this off again for a minute. This top section You'll see probably about just about half of the top. That's what that little section says in real teeny tiny print that sometimes I have to look close and read. But actually, I made it a big enough font that even I can read it. So hopefully a law enforcement officer has better eyesight than I do. Um, oh, I just saw this. Joey's here. Hey, Joey, thank you for joining us. Good to see you again. Oh, okay. Have been watching, was driving home. Yes, drive safe. Don't text and drive, don't comment and drive. But yes, thank you for being there with us. Oh, we have a factoid here from DJ Gamecock. Paul McCartney wrote the song "Got to Get You Into My Life" about cannabis. Hmm, I don't think I knew that. That is interesting. So anyway, this takes us back here to the Fourth Amendment, whichever one I was looking at. This one here. Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. So, the Fourth Amendment is pretty specific here. No warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation. And then that warrant also has to particularly describe the place to be searched and the persons or things that they wish to seize. So I see this one a lot on these audit videos when people are stopped, and probable cause is often confused with reasonable suspicion. There is definitely a difference between reasonable suspicion and probable cause. Um, but for the most part, when you see the language that says reasonable suspicion, talking about a lot of times it'll be ID ordinances or laws that say officer cannot require you to show your identification unless you are lawfully arrested or lawfully detained or arrested. Um, and again, so if they can't just walk up to you on the street and say, "Hey, I want to see your ID." You have a Fourth Amendment right to be securing your papers and effects and your person. Yeah. So, and so I've seen a lot of times they say, "Well, you're acting suspiciously." So I've got reasonable suspicion. And that's not what the law says. It's just they need reasonable suspicion that you've committed a crime, or that the crime is being either has been committed, is in the process of being committed, or you're about to commit. So the crime factor is an absolute and must be um, part of their suspicion. Um, now, what I tell everybody, and again, what's in here is do not consent to any unreasonable or unlawful searches and seizures. Uh, Good story on that one. I've told the story a number of times. We had our booth set up one day, and a family of four stopped. It was mom, dad, two, I want to say teenage-ish children, younger teens maybe. One was a teen, one was maybe just under. And it was interesting because mom stopped and wanted to explain to the child first why they were stopping at this NORML booth that's on the side of the road. And it was mainly because mom wanted to tell me her story, or wanted to tell her story, not necessarily to me, but to whoever was there. Um, and she, what her story was is she was stopped by law enforcement, and I don't know the whole circumstances behind it. My understanding of the story was they were probably, um, out and about on the street because the cop asked to search her purse. It wasn't like, oh, they were going to search the car, because then they asked to search the car and they search everything. Uh, but they asked to search her purse, and she's like, well, I got nothing in my purse. Sure, you can search it. And they searched her purse, and in the bottom of her purse, they found a little piece of paper that was stained and tested positive for cannabis. It was basically the remnants of an old roach that all the weed had already fallen out of. It was just a little piece of paper, but it was a little burned, it was a little stained, and it tested positive on a roadside test, mind you, which are very unreliable. And this mom tells me she ends up doing 30 days in jail. 30 days in jail because she consented to a search of her pocketbook, of her purse, excuse me, old people, pocketbook, um, of her purse. And the cop finds this little stained piece of roach paper. Um, and, I go, oh, 30 days in jail. I mean, that's the first thing that kind of pops in my mind. That's ridiculous. I mean, first off, you miss work for 30 days. You think your job's going to be there for you? You miss work there for 30 days. You think it's going to be able to pay your rent? You, I the dominoes will just start falling over something like that. Ridiculous. And then, as I talk about all the time, the residual consequences, those consequences that, if you've got a drug conviction on your record, oh, you can't get student educational support. Oh, you need some assistance for housing? Nope, nope. You got a marijuana arrest on your record. There's all kinds of things. Yeah, you want to try and get you in the military? You want to try and get any kind of security clearance? Yeah, I mean, where does it stop? I mean, they've been piling it on for years after year after year. And these are all violations, in my opinion, on our civil rights and civil liberties because cannabis shouldn't be illegal for our personal use to begin with. Ah, so I see a couple of comments in here. Let me just see if I can catch up here a little bit. Joey says, just so everyone knows, in the Northwoods Mall, there's a new head shop. Nice store, friendly staff, pretty good variety of product, and they just started selling THCA flower. It's called Southern Pure. Grand opening on Saturday, but they're open for business now. Northwoods Mall. Good to know. Thank you for that, Joy. All right. Any questions, comments, or thoughts on the Fourth Amendment? Do not, do not consent to searches. Um, yeah, I mean, if they have the right to search, or if they feel they have the right to search, they're going to do it anyway. I see it way too often on these audits where they want somebody's ID, and the person's like, "No, I don't have to give you my ID. I haven't committed a crime. You have no reasonable suspicion that I've committed a crime." Yeah. Oh, well, you're parked you're in a neighborhood where crime happens, so that gives me reasonable suspicion. Not really, but they'll say that kind of stuff. I hear about these things often. So, and so I've then see them actually. They could Terry frisk you if they have a lawful reason to stop you. Terry frisk is basically a patting of the outside of your garments to feel if you might have a weapon concealed. And then if you do have what they believe to be a weapon, they can, disarm you. Um, but they have to have a reasonable suspicion that you have a weapon uh, to even uh, Terry pat you down. Um, and I've seen people say, "Oh, this is a Terry frisk," and then reach into somebody's pocket, pull out their wallet, and pull out their ID, and then while their handcuffs are on them, although they've committed no crime. So, yeah, that's where the Freedom Card says, "Stay calm, don't resist." They're gonna do what they're gonna do, and yeah. My thing is, I don't want anybody to go to jail. Second thing is, I don't want anybody to get unalived. Um, so, primarily, don't get unalived, and secondarily, don't go to jail. Maybe that's more important. So, okay. Um, that's Fourth Amendment. Fifth Amendment's real important too, and that is the one that we spoke about earlier. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia. So military law is a little bit different. when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy. So no double jeopardy. Although we still see retrials on things that make me question that. Um, Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So that's kind of a bunch to unpack, but the big thing here is you have a right to remain silent. You don't have to answer questions. Uh, and that's where, to me, I think even more important than the Fifth Amendment when you're dealing with law enforcement, when you're dealing with the Freedom Card, is the Sixth Amendment. And the Sixth Amendment is in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed. Um, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law and to be informed to the nature of the cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, and to have compulsory process of obtaining witnesses in favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. Now, really, a lot of it comes down to those last couple of words there, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. That is basically a long way kind of saying you have a right to not answer questions without an attorney present, without your attorney present, not somebody else's attorney, your attorney present. And in that, if you invoke your Sixth Amendment right and say, look, I've already said I'm not going to answer questions on my Fifth Amendment right now. I'm not going to answer any questions unless my attorney's present. Yeah, you need to call my attorney and get my attorney here. Oh, I can't afford an attorney. You're going to have to assign me an attorney, whatever the case may be. And then if they keep asking you questions after you have invoked your Sixth Amendment, now they are violating your rights under the Constitution. They're supposed to go, all right, get him his attorney. I don't know why my color keeps shifting like that. Get him his attorney, and we'll ask the attorney the questions. And, that's how that kind of goes. So when you're looking at, let me check my time here. Oh, not too bad. The NORML Foundation Freedom Card in the brochure, it says basically right at the top, the part that you hand to the officer, the government official, I hereby invoke and refuse to waive all of the following rights and privileges afforded to me by the U.S. Constitution. And so it goes through and it says, I invoke and refuse to waive my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. Do not ask me any questions. I invoke and refuse to waive my Sixth Amendment right to an attorney of my choice. Do not ask me any questions without my attorney present. I invoke and refuse to waive all privileges and rights pursuant to the case Miranda versus Arizona. Do not ask me any questions or make any comment to me about this decision. I mean, you hear it a lot. Oh, people who don't answer questions are usually hiding something, is what they tend to allude to. So do not make any comments. That's your Miranda rights. I invoke and refuse to waive my Fourth Amendment right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. I do not consent to any search or seizure of myself, my home, or of any property in my possession. I do not ask me about my ownership interest of any property. I do not consent to this contact with you. If I am not presently under arrest or under investigatory detention, please allow me to leave. And then the last one is any statement I make or alleged consent I give in response to your questions are hereby made under protest and under duress and in submission to your claim of lawful authority to force me to provide you with information. that's the part that you hand to the law enforcement officer. There's a lot again to unpack there. I would suggest you learn at least those three amendments, the fourth, fifth, and sixth, and verbalize them. I mean, it's one thing to be able to hand them to the card, ask them to read it. They can decline to read it. They don't have to read it, but you do have a right to free speech. So you have a right to verbalize that to them. Your fourth, your fifth, and your sixth amendment. Invoke them and remind them that if they violate your civil rights, they they'll lose their qualified immunity. And the reason I bring that up is because I've seen that in certain cases now, uh, more recent cases, they are finding against the plaintiff in civil rights actions because the civil right because the litigant the plaintiff did not verbalize specifically to that officer that they would lose their qualified immunity if they violated their civil rights. Yeah, that they would potentially lose their qualified immunity for violating civil rights. For some reason, they don't teach them that in their training or the academy. It's up to the citizen, the free citizen, to explain that to them. Um, and that's one thing I do want to bring up about the Constitution because I think it was always my misunderstanding or my misconception that this was a document that informed me of what my rights as a member of We the People were. And what I've more recently learned is it's actually a document to remind the government and government officials, government agents, government actors of what our rights as We the People are. Um, like I say, that was sort of a newer revelation to me. It isn't to remind us or tell us what they are. Now, it is our responsibility to know them, learn them, um, and apparently educate and remind our government what our rights are, because the government doesn't seem to want to know in many cases what our rights are. And I think they sort of look at our rights with disdain at times. Um, so, anyway, that gets us through the Sixth Amendment. We got a couple of minutes left. I really don't think we need to. I am going to kind of real quick. We'll look at the last couple of them here. We've got the Seventh Amendment in suits of common law, where the value or in controversy shall exceed $20, the right to jury by trial should be preserved. Eighth Amendment, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. Again, cruel, unusual punishments for simple cannabis possession. Yeah, I think most of them are cruel. I don't know if they'd be unusual. It's kind of usual for our government to try and demonize and criminalize its people. Um, but definitely cruel, not right, immoral, as we read somewhere earlier. Ninth Amendment, the enumeration of the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. And the 10th, the power is not delegated to the United States by Constitution, nor prohibited by the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So that is the Bill of Rights. That's our first 10 amendments to the Constitution. There's more than 10, but they're not part of the Bill of Rights, I guess. Um, why it's the first 10? I don't know. All right. Let me just take one more look here at comments. Um, so let me kind of just mention again, remind you again, if you do want to get a copy of the Freedom Card, you can go to our website, scnormal.org, and download our brochure, print it out, and cut out the Freedom Card and keep it with your ID. Or come and see us when we're out and about. Matter of fact, I should have some information, hopefully coming in real soon, because I want to start promoting our beach sweep at Folly Beach coming up on Sunday, July 23rd at 9 a.m. in the morning. Get down there early, folks. Traffic backs up, especially if it's a nice day. Traffic backs up. So get down there early, spend about an hour with us doing a little beach cleaning, and then unpack your towels and your chairs and enjoy the beach with us for a little while that day. Um, starting to get a little horsey here. Oh, and then while you're there, pick up a brochure. As a matter of fact, part of my plan for that day is while we're walking around doing beach cleanup, I'm hoping that, we will each have a small pocket full of brochures and stickers to pass out to anybody that might be curious about what we're doing and why we're out and about. We also ask if you do come out to that event, make sure you wear something, whether it's a NORML T-shirt would be great because it says it real big on the back, working to reform marijuana laws. Or if you already have some other cannabis related wear that you'd like to wear and help sort of um, get attention so that people go, hey, what's with the hat? What's with the shirt? What are y'all doing? You can hand them a brochure, maybe tell them a little bit about the Freedom Card, and hand them a sticker or two, and ask them to join us on Wednesday nights and help and join our cause, try and change laws here in South Carolina. Um, so that's coming up. We do also have another reggae night coming up in mid-July. I think it's about 2 weeks out. It's a Friday night, and I don't have the date in front of me for some reason. I want to say it's like the 14th, but I don't have that in front of me. So keep an eye out or visit our coming events page on our website, and that'll give you a little bit more info. All right, guys. I don't have much else for you. Oh, the last thing I do want to mention, if you do want a copy of the U.S. Constitution, nice little pocket-sized one like this, we do have them on our website. So if you do want to go out and order a T-shirt for the event coming up, you can also throw a pocket Constitution in there. And remember, if you do place an order, we send out a brochure with every single order and some stickers, or at least one sticker. So that's a way to kind of get them without coming out and seeing me, or come out, sweep a beach. We are doing that in conjunction with, I believe it is the South Carolina Aquarium's Turtle Watch group. That should be interesting. And I'm told that we're going to actually have our connection there on the program coming up on July 19th, just a few days before the event. And she will be telling us a little bit about beach sweeps and data collection and why they collect data. Usually we're broken, the folks when we're on a sweep will be broken up into like 3-person teams. Usually 2 of them are picking up and hollering out what they pick up, and the third person's jotting it down on a clipboard, kind of keeping track of what's being picked up. And then they collect all that data at the end, and all that data is very useful for them. So don't forget, I'll start promoting that hopefully by this weekend, and we'll have the sign up form ready, almost ready now, but we'll have the sign up form active for you hopefully by the end of the weekend. All right, I am going to kind of call it just a couple of minutes early tonight. Not often we get done in less than an hour. But I don't have a whole lot more to really tell you about. Uh, I guess one last note I will say, thinking about since I'm sitting here with the one-way forward shirt. Again, thank you very much to Cody Collerman and Carolina Dream. Don't forget to go out and support carolinadream.com and their efforts. And I want to kind of say I was a little disappointed at turnout, and I don't. Maybe y'all can help me understand. Is it just that we don't have that many supporters? Have they all moved out and gone to legal states and they said, forget it? South Carolina's never going to get there, so we're moving? Or are people afraid to come out and show their faces? Or I just, if you have any thoughts, relay them to me, not tonight on chat or anything like that, but maybe shoot me an email or something. Let me know your thoughts on how to get an event like that um, really well attended. I believe Cody's planning on doing another one in the future. I'd like to see if I can do anything I can to help him have a great turnout. And although I think it was a nice turnout, um, I don't believe it was as packed as I would have liked to see it. So, oh, I just picked this up. I forgot we didn't do our third trivia. Might as well rack it out real quick and we'll get to the end of our hour. This is a movies category. This is our third 30-point question for the evening. 30-point question, movies category. Bridget Fonda plays a sexy stoner in what Quentin Tarantino film? Was it Jackie Brown, Kill Bill, Single White Female, True Romance? One more time on that. Movies category, 30-point question. Bridget Fonda plays a sexy stoner in what Quentin Tarantino film? Was it Jackie Brown, Kill Bill, Single White Female, or True Romance? No plugs for sponsorship on this one. We'll just keep on going to our answer, and the answer for that is Jackie Brown. I'm not sure if I've seen any of those movies. Maybe I'm too old. Anyway, that's the answer on our third trivia question for the night. Hopefully we left you with a little bit of extra knowledge and maybe just a little bit of a smile on your face tonight. I want to thank you all. I love that you come out and you join me on these calls. I really think that we're going to get there. You know, as I said to people at the festival on Saturday evening, sometimes I look at myself at that kind of guy that just goes out and shakes his fist and hollers at the sky until the rain stops. And I sometimes feel that that's almost the mentality of trying to fight for marijuana law reform in South Carolina. You're kind of going to the legislature for the shake of your fist, going make the laws change. And you know, eventually the rain does stop. So I'm hoping eventually we can get our legislature to change some laws. That's all I got for you tonight, folks. Thanks again for joining me. Don't forget to follow us on our social media, interact, send me messages. Love to hear from you. That's all I have for tonight, but we will be back again next Wednesday at 7 p.m. for the South Carolina Normal. Well, that didn't come out right. South Carolina Normal Cannabis Conversation. Night now. Have a good night.